Hello and welcome back to the Eternal Dawn. I am your captain, Straw Hat Lucas. Today we're going to be talking about One Piece Chapter 1132, Adventure in ELBAPH. I think we're all pretty excited to talk about this. We had a pretty long break, coming right off of a planned 2-week break and going into an unplanned 2-week break. The One Piece withdrawals were real. Let's go around the table and introduce the crew that's here with us today, starting with my first mate, the historian of whoever just I don't know what that was, but all right. Starting with the first mate of the Eternal Dawn, Kube of the Red Sea.
What up, guys? Excited. The return of One Piece. Oh man, I'm excited. And let's do this.
All right. Next up, let's just go down the gigantic tree we're on. Is the head cook of the Eternal Dawn, Mr. vexyz, the Lurking Legend. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, vexyz, the Lurking Legend. Y'all can just call me Vex. I am so glad to be back. I said it before and I'll say it again. I want Oda to take as long as he needs, but yep, it sure feels great to have a chapter again and to be back with the boys talking about it.
The boys. All right, next up is the newest member of the crew, Helmsman of the Eternal Dawn, Mr. Nac from NaccReacts. Well, how are we doing today,
How you doing? Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I'm so excited to get back into One Piece. But I just want to reiterate what Vex said. Like, people need to stop pushing Oda. The man feels guilty for getting the flu.
Yeah, listen. I said it myself.
Okay.
I think he got jet lag. I think he didn't take care of himself properly after he got back from visiting the set in South Africa for season 2, and I think that because he pushed himself normally like he would and didn't take the time to rest properly after his trip, it made him sick. Like, the man needs to take care of himself. Like Vex has said, like, I could go down to a twice-a-month schedule or even a monthly schedule if it means Oda got to complete the story in the way he wants to and takes care of himself better. But let's get through these introductions. Last but certainly not least, the other host of weekly reads here on the channel, Mr. Joshua Vykthor. How we doing today, Josh?
Yo, I'm good. And what's good, YouTube? It's a boy, Vykthor the Lurking Josh. Yeah, I'm here to talk about it.
Can't escape it. Yeah, like.
All right, guys, quit knacking off.
Yeah.
Let's get into this.
Whoa.
Wild. So
Don't use the N-word.
wild.
Guys, remember, I'm not editing this. Everything you say is going to be left in.
Oh, that's making the final cut for sure. Yeah, real quick though, like legit, I wanted to spend like just a little bit of time talking about the title and cover page here at the beginning, just because that kind of makes sense. But title page we'll get to in just a second, but like the actual title itself being Adventure in ELBAPH, which is, we always start arcs with these adventure in type of things, and so the fact that we kind of already got one back when we thought we were in ELBAPH, like, which we technically were with the Roto stuff like before, this is like cool. This was like more reassuring, I guess, like, because that was just like a little meantime, a little hors d'oeuvre, a little snack before we got to ELBAPH proper. But this felt good. Just seeing really that like title as I opened up the the chapter, it was solid. I liked it.
Yeah, funnily enough, I was talking about how like it reminds me of like Adventure in the Land of the Sky Islands or whatever it is from Skypiea and stuff like that in my chapter reaction, and then I accidentally said in the Land of the Waves. So I guess this is Naruto now. Sorry guys, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh man,
It's awesome. I love the shot of getting the castle rebuilt. Like,
yes.
Oh yeah.
From Odin's timeline.
With like Speed and Otama and Komochio and Yamabro just kind of hanging out there. I think this is about to start getting interesting. I'm not gonna lie. It has not been very interesting for me since, but I think the Yamato cover story is actually gonna cook, and I've talked a lot about it in previous streams and whatnot. But we're in a new format here, so I have to bring it up again. But I think this could lead into the battle for Pluton on Wano's side of things, and we might be seeing other factions going and gunning for it over there. But I think this is just trying to keep it fresh in our minds. But we haven't gotten like such a the last major cover story we got before this was in fact the Germa Emotionless Excursion, right, which tied directly into current plot, and I feel like Oda's gonna keep in that part of his bag for this last like stretch of the final saga and all that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much the backstory gave us the flashback of Vegapunk. And we are, like you said, probably we're gonna see Blackbeard fight for Pluton here in Wano by the end.
We could even see Cross Guild here, but if we see Cross Guild in the cover story before we see them actually in the panels, like in the chapters, I might be a little bit upset. But it could be so many different individuals gunning for whatever's at Wano, which we know to be Pluton, but there are a couple other figures, most prominently Blackbeard, who might have figured that out from what's his face, Caribou.
Do not see Blackbeard being the person. Obviously, the Caribou tie is there, so he is a contender. But for me personally, I think it's either world government or, like you had said, Cross Guild. But I think Moria is also a candidate for this.
Let's go.
Well,
so Cross Guild.
Yeah, so Cross Guild. Yeah, exactly. Josh, you're on the same. He sees the vision. But no, because we know that he's infiltrated Wano before, so this is nothing new to him to have to sneak around the country. So it would be interesting, especially since he disappeared from Hachinosu with Perona. And like I said, I still think him and Doflamingo are going to join up with Cross Guild at some point. So this could be their in. I also predicted that, Cross Guild will show up and Yamato will leave with Cross Guild to reflect Whitebeard leaving with Odin. I don't know how true that could be, but if Mori is there, maybe. Yeah, go ahead, Kube.
For me, I've always said that, especially since recent, a few months ago when I reread the Odin flashback on how Buggy got so close to Odin and said, "I would never forget you." I wouldn't be shocked now that we know the reveal of Pluton, Cross Guild that has both Buggy and Crocodile in it. I could see, something happening in Wano, Buggy seeing the Momo's full name, and going there, out of Buggy moment, we've got to help an old friend. So I can see Cross Guild playing on all the Oda playing on all the different angles on all the players.
Yeah.
So I could see something really happening, all those different pieces coming in one place.
Yeah, the main problem right now is that Blackbeard is the only one who knows that Pluton is in Wano from Caribou. And why wouldn't he go there?
Buggy has the natural falling upwards type of agenda where it's it could still make sense for him to be there for some other reason and then stumble into the Pluton stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, maybe since now that he knows, it's 3 days here. Let's go 3 days.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hey.
Perfect timing. We're just getting into cover story.
Oh, y'all recording?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah.
I just woke up. I'm so confused.
Morning.
Good morning.
Say hi.
Say hi to the audience.
Hello, audience.
This is staying in, by the way.
It is, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm doing minimal editing for this one. It's podcast format, so let's go.
All right.
I
think
was saying,
cover story.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're talking about Cross Guild.
Cross Guild. Oh, that's what I was going to say real quick, is that it could be, though, that now that Kaido has fallen, right? Maybe Buggy will see that it's safe for him to go there and mourn his friend, as in Odin. Go visit Odin's grave. A good reason for him to do that. And maybe he knows that the Kazuki clan were the ones who helped create the poneglyphs. Because he knows Odin, right? It would not be beyond me to think that that is the case.
It's not beyond what Oda can pull out of his bag. I don't see that being the case personally. Obviously the most logical and reasonable thing to jump to is Blackbeard. But it's Oda. It could be anybody. Like, you know what it could be something crazy. I wouldn't put it past Oda. Yeah, exactly. But it's still I really do feel like the cover story is about to start popping off like any chapter now, and Oda likes to, I'm not a big math piece, believer, although some of the stuff is like very, very, very beyond coincidence and I think is fully predetermined. I think Oda is waiting for something very specific for this cover story to pop off, Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking she might run into where she's at right now. I'm thinking she could go find where they made the poneglyphs. How they're made.
Can you imagine if we get that in the cover story?
I'd be blown away.
Wow.
Oda's gonna see. He saw how upset people were when Zoro's backstory was revealed in the SBS, so he's gonna just show Zoro's dad's grave or something, just to upset people more.
Oh man. Oh man. But yeah, after looking at that for a good amount, like let's get into the actual chapter proper here. Which the first thing I wanted to bring up is I love this like little with the black text box here, where in the officials it just says like WAP or something, which is hilarious. But this is a prime like Discord emote right here. With him just holding his like hands up, like nah, like X. Timeout, like
yeah, tell him no.
Yes, dude.
I love it, man.
It's so good.
We got a new named character. Yeah, we have Colin, the new named character. We finally got the name of the little giant child that was following the red hair pirates around.
Yeah. We were given the trajectory of like what giants, like how they mature and stuff like that. Like, is it like basically at 3 times speed? So this kid looking like he's like a 5-year-old could actually be like 20 something, like in, I guess, normal human years. You know what I mean? But any actual credence to this? I heard someone saying that like this could be like Shanks's actual kid with like a giant lady, which I mean, go Shanks. But like I don't know. Do y'all think this is just some random kid, or you think this kid's got like the will of D or some shit?
I think he's important. I think I was telling Kube and them last night about this. Is that we've seen Luffy kind of follow the trajectory of the Roger Pirates, but something Luffy is missing is the 2 cabin boys, right? Like Buggy and Shanks. And it's far-fetched, and I don't have a lot of evidence for it, but I really think that Colin and Bonnie will end up being those for the Straw Hat crew. Like, they will be the ones to have that Buggy and Shanks role. It's all about, especially with One Piece, continuing the era of pirates through the next generation, and I think seeing Bonnie and Colin as well in this arc, we will see that next generation starting to form during Luffy's time, just like we saw Shanks and Buggy starting to like get their stuff, built up during Roger's time.
It's interesting. I didn't think of it like that.
So like, like Shanks is talking about Luffy, like he used to talk to Luffy about Roger. Like he's telling stories to the new generation about Straw Hat Luffy and how he's going to change the world.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up like more like Luffy's going to inspire this kid to go out to see like Shanks inspired Luffy. Like Luffy's going to be the Shanks figure for this kid.
Yeah. Well, see, I think that as well, but I think it would be a really cool like reverse parallel if Colin, just like Luffy, and just like he did with Shanks, asked Luffy to join his crew, and Luffy says yes instead of no, like Shanks did to him.
Bro, think about it. He has no, he can't fit on the ship at all.
Yeah, he can.
Nah.
For now, like
Dude, imagine a giant child in battle, and if Bonnie also stays on the ship as well, she can age him up at any time. So not only can she go Nika form giant, Not only can she go Nika form giant, she can also make this kid giant. So there's 3 giants on the crew right there. Luffy,
Right, look-
Bonnie.
Just look at the other guy carrying the Sunny. The Sunny is the size of a giant. The kid can barely stay on the deck.
Yeah, he'll be alright.
There's also the inversion of it too, like how or more of a parallel, because Luffy asked Shanks to go out to sea with him, and Shanks, set him straight and was like, "You're not ready yet." And it could be the same thing. Luffy is the Shanks figure to this kid, and he begs Shanks to go out to sea, and Luffy sits him down, and tells him, "You're not ready."
Yeah.
We've seen how he imitates Shanks' demeanor in La Jaya in Mocktown in the bar.
Oh yeah.
And I wouldn't be
For
surprised
sure.
if it's a similar sort of callback here, where he recognizes the ambition, but he has the maturity to set him down and tell him it's not time.
Yeah. Which we saw him do kind of with Tama as well in Wano.
Right.
Oh yeah, she had to go and become a bewitching kunoichi first.
Exactly.
I think that I think it's very like Luffy is somebody who if he is somebody who's gonna join the crew, I feel like we'll know 5 seconds into him meeting this character. You know what I mean? He's gonna ask him if they poop, and then he's gonna say "join my crew" type shit. But I don't think we're gonna get that from. Before we got the officials, we thought this kid's name was Colon, by the way. So maybe there's a parallel, and that that has something to do with poop. I don't know. I'm kidding.
Excuse
Oh man.
His father is mentioned here as well.
It is, yep.
But in the scanlations, they said a bit of your father's favorite. The barmaid straight calls his dad Daddy. So,
Hey, Hio? That could be his
I'm
name.
dead serious. I'm
This is
dead
Daddy
serious.
Masterson?
She
Yeah,
said
this is Daddy Masterson.
if you're going up to she says, if you're going up to the Sun World too, then I've got Ripley's favorite here, and a bit of Daddy's favorite too. So is that his mother? Because that's something moms say to their children when talking about their child's father.
Nah, man. They're talking about Daddy Masterson.
It's
I'm saying
it's
right
Daddy
now.
Masterson. This is his giant child.
Yeah, exactly.
They're hyping this up for season
He
2 of
sees
the
the
live
vision.
action. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Daddy Masterson confirmed.
I mean, it's not a bad guess that Daddy Masterson, because it could refer that if his name is Daddy, she just is not referring as a dad, but because his name is Daddy Masterson, it's not a bad thought. And us assuming that it's his father when it's just his name,
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't rule
Well,
it
that's
out. That's all
that's
I'm
not a bad
saying.
thought. It's not a bad thought, because we're saying but it's just his first name is Daddy, so, and a bit of Daddy's favorite too. It would just be referring to the person's name,
Guys,
It would be an Oda move. It would be an Oda move as well.
audience at home, take a shot every time we say Daddy.
Don't do that. We don't condone that. No,
Yeah,
don't.
we don't condone that.
I will
In
do it.
D&D. In D&D, Josh.
I mean, the good thing of different time zones is that it's going to be happy hour at one point, so better start now.
Okay.
Just kidding.
I love this little moment. I love
Yeah,
this
go
little
ahead.
moment though about him talking about Shanks and how he reflects on Shanks telling him about Luffy. It's a cute moment.
Yeah, I straight my chapter reaction was like, oh yeah, we see Shanks. What's up with Shanks though, guys? Let me ask a question.
All the evil Shanks theories, they're finishing the sentence let me tell you about Straw Hat Luffy. And then, and then he just starts spitting the most evil, heinous slasher ever.
Yo.
This little motherfucker took my fruit.
Hey, man, shit.
Don't turn your back on this fool for a second.
He will eat your
torn
fruit
down
immediately. Yeah, he's torn down kingdoms.
Bro.
Destroyed countries?
Oh my god.
But what is up with Shanks and encouraging children to go out to sea?
He's the modern day Roger.
Yeah. He inspires them.
Roger inspired the world. This man is going specifically at boys aged 8 to 11.
You can't. You're not supposed to.
No, bro. Oh
yes,
my god.
Mr. Figureland Shanks, why
Okay,
don't you have a
look.
seat right here?
Explain Yasop. That's a full-grown man. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's not exclusively. It's not exclusively that age group. Like, he doesn't have like a. That's wild, Lucas.
I was about to bring something else up, but oh man, I really like seeing.
Derailed himself.
It did. I really love seeing Hyjuden and his crew in this. I've been waiting.
And
since,
Stanson.
yeah, and Stanson,
And Gerd.
and Gerd. But no, I've been waiting since Dressrosa to learn more about the new giant warrior pirates. And just seeing them so prevalent in the arc with Dory and Brogy, like, it's chef's kiss, Oda. You're cooking, my man.
Yeah, there's something I said last night that's a little further ahead in the chapter, but I really appreciate it. Like, and it's how like Road is looked at as this lunatic, and they just accept him for who he is. Like, he's just a part of their crew. I know it's kind of unhinged, and it's they beat him up, and they're like, yeah, but he's a part of our crew. What do you do? He's our navigator.
Just because I work with him doesn't mean I have to like him.
I do like that road storyline, because especially with what Nack is talking about, made me think of, there were some similarities I felt with Usopp, especially, we're hoping this to be this big arc for Usopp. It kind of made me think of, how Usopp was misunderstood in Sir Village, how basically very few people actually, appreciated him, to treat him like he was an outcast. So, it's like, I'm wondering, like, we get more on the road thing, like, is he just a guy who's been misunderstood this entire time, and, nature versus nurture?
I don't need that.
No, I mean, no,
He's a little bit. He's a little bit.
No, but
loopy.
yeah,
but it's sweet how they accept him for.
Yeah, but like,
strength,
it's one of those things where maybe some straw hats will say, "Oh no," and like just someone who lashes out to act a certain way because he always felt outcast. It could be an interesting thing, because that's how Usopp sees himself. Well, other people don't see Usopp that way, but that's his inner monologue. So it could literally be, and Nak and I talked a few months ago when we first got Rhodes, like, what if he's like, how we see Rhodes is how Usopp sees himself inside, the perfect, motivation for, for Usopp's story. Rhodes is not important, but it's, the trope itself for Usopp to see in front of his face. Yeah, that is important. So, it made me think of that.
We don't know the relationship between Rhodes and Hyjuden. That's really what I'm curious about. Because, like, maybe Hyjuden is like Luffy is with all of his crew, even though Rhodes a little weird and eccentric, he loves them, that's his friend, that's his brother, that's his Nakama.
Yeah, they're like birthday brothers. They were all born that same week, right? Like, that's really as far, they go back literally since birth, like as far as like how long they've known each other, I would assume, seeing as they were both mentioned in that same like week of the winter solstice or whatever in the Big Mom flashback.
Yep. And it would make sense that Hyjuden has a very deep connection with Road and vice versa, because Road even said, with the little bit of dialogue we got from him during Lego Piece, that it really upset him that Hyjuden decided to follow Luffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit more, it's going to be a bit deeper story there with Road. He's going to be a bit misunderstood, like Kube is saying. Not to the extent that we're like, oh, that's fine that you kidnap and
I don't think we need to redeem this man, but there could be a deeper meaning to it.
Yeah.
He listen, he's like an autistic man with his train sets. You just don't touch him and he'll be okay. Like,
what the hell?
Just because we're not live, bro.
Listen,
don't put it right
there. I'm autistic. I can say these things. Listen, I never yell at my children, but if they touch my figurines, I get pretty upset. I'm just saying. Like,
oh my God. Just because you can say something doesn't mean you should. All right, like, Yeah, I think that. Go ahead.
I was just gonna get us kind of back to where we were in the chapter. Obviously, audience listening in, it's. We're gonna be jumping around a little bit here and there because there's not a lot of spicy stuff to talk about this chapter, but there is at the same time. And I wanted to bring up so what are we thinking with the Sunstone stuff? The Kube, you got a dub with this, dude. I think. I really do.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've been talking for a couple of years about Ms. Golden Week, and it was the SBS explanation of Oda, and when she described it, I've always said the first color that we connect to hockey, and he literally used, it's an absence of physical prowess. So it made me think like this has to be like the first will derivability. So seeing with the Sunstone, and to explain about the rainbow, how the rainbow is made, like it made me think we're getting finally that origin of it was one of those abilities that Luffy was like instantly taken out of fighting with Miss Golden Week. So I'm happy that we're getting more into this storyline.
Yeah.
Like, what's the, and as like and Miss Golden Week had different levels, and Rainbow, where you fulfill your dreams, was the last one, Even now her epithet, I said it yesterday on VC, it hits differently when her name is the flag bearer of freedom, which is quite interesting.
Do you think her paintbrush had a sunstone in it? Whatever the sunstone technology is.
Could be, or something to drive close to a sunstone, you know what I mean? Like, how there are dials, but then there's different type of dials, and you could say some are lesser, some are,
right,
more offensive. Right. So it could be also like, this could be like the new dial, but, new world style,
Like they hold different abilities, but maybe they're left behind by Sun God Nika.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Ooh.
Sorry, go ahead.
I like that a lot.
You got me excited.
Like Little Garden is the place where we would see, like, obviously there's like going to be a ton of parallels with the actual big arc itself, right? Like, so like I think that's huge. That's actually crazy.
Well,
maybe it's Nika's kidney stones.
Yeah. Well, I actually, once again, just because you can say something doesn't mean you should know. No,
it's funny coming from you, Captain.
Yeah.
He learned from watching you.
Where did you pick this up? I learned it from watching you. But yes. Yeah. Jesus, you guys threw me off again. I threw myself off again, I should say.
A habit of doing that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's us. It's always us, right?
Yeah. But no, 3-Day, I agree. I think that what we're seeing, especially with how entranced ELBAPH itself is with the Nika lore and following the Sun God, I really think that there's a possibility that maybe the Sunstones are a residue of the previous Nika. Something that he left for them to bring their imaginations to life, to create rainbow bridges. And maybe that's where the collar comes in, right? Is because if you hold up a prism to the sun, obviously refraction happens and you get a rainbow, right? So there's got to be something that ties Nika to the technology of sunstones directly, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. And the Golden Week stuff definitely has something to do with it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to tie in somewhere.
I think I like legit think that it's just about the power of imagination, and like if that's like the only tie we get, that's enough for me. But maybe there's something more tangible there. But like I honestly just feel like that's it,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like with the link to Nika, is that like it's definitely like imagination fuel based kind of thing.
And it's quite interesting.
Think about it. When we see the SpongeBob meme, like where he says imagination, he makes a rainbow.
No, go ahead. Keep on saying.
Is Oda cooking?
Yo.
And also, like, another thing is, where you think of Miss Golden Week, think of her partner. He was all about the art, Mr. Sri, creating wax art with his fruit. So it's like, well, I think we're gonna get more on the the Sunstone. What is Nika's true? Like even more like other Delphus have done something very similar. That like, dude, how is that even possible? I still say this Kako's square form in Eni's lobby was the weirdest thing I've ever seen with Delphus. Just became a square cube, a square giraffe, which was weird. So I think we're getting more on that, crazy part of Dao fruit, especially with Luffy's fruit.
Exactly. And you know, do you guys think that we should take a look at Galdino then for inspiration for Loki? No.
No.
Loki's gonna have a 4 on his head.
No, I don't know all that, but
No.
like there is no extent to how deep Oda could be going in his bag with all of this stuff, but I think that is out of the realm of plausibility, right? Like I think it's safe to say that, but I don't know. I'm really interested to see I right at the beginning of arcs, we always see like some really crazy shit, like with, you know, Fishman Island being redone right now in the anime. That's like something that I'll draw a little point to immediately, but like literally we're seeing the bottom of the ocean. We're seeing these mangrove roots going and touching down, and these like underwater drafts, like these different currents and stuff, and there's just all these different life forms and like a full sunlight tree Eve and stuff like that. And when we get like this full like landscape, like almost like a panoramic, like the full wide angle of like everything that's going on, it's always magnificent. Like the first time we got to see the full flower capital, breathtaking. And this like chapter, just like there's more to it, which we'll get into later, but just seeing like with the painter stuff, like just the Straw Hats sailing on a rainbow,
Yeah.
was absolutely crazy.
Taste the rainbow.
Like, okay.
Listen, no, my favorite part of them sailing on the rainbow is Robin and Bonnie. And then I'm guessing it's Brooke singing Big Sake in the background, like somebody singing Big Sake in the background.
Someone is, yeah.
Yeah. And, but
I actually thought you
Robin,
were referring to the scene of all of them when they first see the rainbow and the stars are in Bonnie's eyes.
that one is really good as well. But no, it's Robin like talking to Bonnie and like experiencing like there's something because Nami's always the one on the crew to like help children and like be there for them and stuff like. So to see her nurturing side, you know, I said it in my chapter reaction. It's so, I guarantee it's so healing for not only Robin but Bonnie as well, but for Robin specifically to be able to be there for a child in a way that no one was there for her when she was that age. You know what I mean? And to experiencing these things through a child's eyes, like especially with how big imagination is in the One Piece universe and things of that nature, and that childlike sense of wonder, that romance for adventure. It's just, I don't know. This one panel sent me on like a whole upward spiral of like inspiration.
Yeah.
It's,
well, like
it's
you,
so
like what you're saying with the power of inspiration in One Piece, or like imagination in One Piece, like that's like tenfold with Bonnie specifically after what we've seen. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's huge. It's such a big panel for me. I loved it as well.
That's amazing. All the Straw Hats' reaction to the rainbow is really touching.
Yeah, Frankie was blown away. So was Brooke and Frankie. Both were like, I think we've lost our minds. Like,
and Vegapunk.
I think from a
broke.
Yeah, from a just a sailing and like physics standpoint, which is like, you know, not to be like the whole like nerd that gets all scientific or anything, but like them confirming like even the faintest like bit of rowing would be enough to carry them all the way to the end of the rainbow. Like this is such a cracked thing to introduce, because they like even the little, like you don't need a coup to burst. It could be like a little butterfly fart and that'll get you all the way to the end of the rainbow. You know what I mean? Crazy to me that like they're introducing such a concept.
Yeah.
And I'm super hyped to see how it's utilized within this arc. You know what I mean?
do you guys think that's how Shanks was able to travel the New World to marine forward so quickly? Sunstone technology?
That's actually interesting.
Yeah, that, and we also got an answer on remember Apu before the time skip started, being chased, and then off that cliff, they just realized they were walking in the air, and we couldn't really see their feet. So this could be another answer. It's another mystery we never got the answer to. What did they fall to the sea?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's like, I think, because now we're just seeing one version of it, and I'm also thinking, because I'm rereading with the reaction of Lilith, saying every time I see it, and now you're realizing in the last 20 years, they literally turned Egghead into a snowy island that has light energy everywhere, you know, light technology. So I'm happy that Lilith is with them, because I think we're just getting the scale of, because we're talking about rainbows, you know, but
they could be like similar stuff with like something that you could barely see, you know, so transparent coloring, you know, that could be what Apu walked over. And Shanks would make a lot of sense, you know. I've always said it's either underwater or clouds because returning and falling down a reverse mountain because of the location of ELBAPH being so close to reverse mountain.
Yes.
But this also could be it, you know, them traveling like on a sub Bifrost type of situation. Like there are key points around the world. Yeah, like key points in the world. That would make sense, you know. You could go from one place to another place very fast. Like the Flamingo. He did Dressrosa, Punk Hazard, Dressrosa. Faster than the guys who were just leaving Punk Hazard to go to Dressrosa. Like,
with area technology, you think maybe we'll get with area back in ELBAPH?
Ooh. That's actually a good
I think
question.
it's for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's connected 100%. I mean, it very well could be because they have their own sky clouds, like we saw in this chapter as well. But whether the rainbow is fully connected to the sky clouds, I'm not sure. But it does make sense that Vegapunk also had solid light like capabilities and whatnot at their disposal, and with area, I think is something that's absolutely going to make a comeback so soon because we saw Hera's like after reaction piece, like after, not just during, but after reaction piece.
Yeah.
And the fact we have a Vegapunk with the Straw Hats right now, like maybe those technology are not supposed, those storylines are not be connected, but Vegapunk connected them in the story. You know what I mean? Because of what he did in Egghead, like. But just by explaining everything, you know, the technology he's going to explain to Frankie that we're all excited and waiting for, it might connect to all of those different stuff. Like maybe that's the last piece before we could have Vegapunk start talking about, you know, his science. Like, you know, maybe that because we all had said in Egghead, Vegapunk was very had a lot of philosophy, but not a lot of scientific stuff to say like accurately. It was a lot like. In theory, this, you know, but then again, the Gorsey was there, so it makes sense, you know. Then we found out in Kuma's flashback that his lab is bugged by Saturn, so that makes sense. But this could be the last storyline we need before Vegapunk speaking his truth, you know.
Yeah.
Explaining, you know, what's behind how the world works, actually, what he's done in this world, how is he able to do that?
Yeah.
Exciting time, guys. Exciting time.
I really think that's going to be a big prevalent part of ELBAPH is Vegapunk, and I've said it 100 times, Frankie, just because of the setup there. And I said last night when we were in VC, I think Zoro will be part of that subplot as well, because we know specifically that at the beginning of Egghead, he told Vegapunk, specifically Lilith, that he needed something from her, and we still don't know what that is. So I think that's I think you're right, Cube. I think it's more prevalent than ever. No. What's up?
We're clearly gonna get that in an SBS.
Oh yeah. Clearly delegated to the SBS information.
Yeah. Actually,
to get us back to the chapter, the linear version of the chapter. I know we keep jumping around a lot. Get used to it, guys. That's what we do. We go back to the rope bridge and see, obviously the Straw Hats are there, Luffy specifically, but more importantly, a little find something that starts with a G. Goldberg. Gerd. It's Gerd.
Let's go.
Gerd. I am in love with Gerd already. Like I said, I have been waiting for the new Giant Warrior Pirates since Dressrosa to come in and do their thing, and oh my god. I love this whole interaction, like her picking up Luffy and getting excited, and Goldberg's like holding the ship like, hey, now's not the time, can you help? Like
I like that we get like the Luffy like sweating, and they just call him out like, yo, it's freezing out here, why are you sweating so much? Whatever, he's like trying not to lie, like trying not to get caught in his like lie, or like just a lie of omission, you know, because Luffy's so dumb and pure-hearted, you know what I mean? Like, but that's classic. I always love in the anime and other scenes where he's trying not to get caught in a lie, where he just does like the air blowing because he can't whistle. Like, it's so funny.
Well, I actually think that because obviously we did not see the final bits of the conversation between Loki and Luffy. So I think that the reason he didn't do his usual I can't whistle is because whatever Loki told him was massive. And whatever it was, it made Luffy agree to let him out as well. So maybe, like I said, I don't think Loki's going to be a villain. I really don't. I think this is one of those situations where it's a gray morality area, but it's something that is a necessity. Whatever it is Loki is trying to do, whatever he sees as destroying the world, it is it's something that necessarily has to happen.
Man, listen, I'm just gonna say, when someone who's tied up that way tells you this will be our little secret, there is going to be some, something like, something off about it. Like, we know Luffy's about to mess up big time about something.
Yeah.
Like, anger the people of ELBAPH. So it's, I'm interested in, like, on which side is going to fall. Is it going to be because, Luffy is misunderstood, or, type of situation where he's now, from Luffy's point of view, he did nothing wrong? Or is it like he's trying to do good, but it's about the technique of what you're willing to do for the greater good, you know what I mean?
Exactly, and that's kind of what I was getting at, man, is like it's one of those things that, like, maybe the majority of ELBAPH will see it as something terrible until it happens, and then they'll finally see that it did hold merit and needed to happen for the greater good.
It's like he done something, in my mind, that he done something where either they have to hand him over to the world government or keep him imprisoned.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that take actually a lot, because he does have that special bounty. Exactly. Yeah.
I also, like I said, the biggest plot twist is, imagine if I've said this could be a crazy thing, of him wanting to realizing he needs to cut down the tree, because something that Frankie said in when he talked about how Warland came together, the people started making a home there because of this tree that would never fall, which became the base of their culture. Yeah. Like, what if Loki realized something about that tree, and the tree has to be cut down for, like, if you think about it, how did Nolan anger the Shandorians 400 years ago? As well, he also cut down the tree and attacked the Nola.
It even ties into.
Oh, go ahead. What?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking that he could have ate the devil fruit, or he did eat that devil fruit, and maybe that was against their agreement for them to stay out of ELBAPH or whatever. Because wasn't they just passing the devil fruit down? They weren't eating it.
Yeah, that's what the context seems to imply from the Japanese. That's what Kuso said. Shout out Kuso Land Theories. But being a native Japanese speaker, yeah, that's what he believes. Go ahead.
It could
be. They did confirm that it was eaten. Like, it was, like, I'm pretty sure it's meant to be eaten, and that's like why it's passed down.
Yeah, I think the term that was used, it's the word was basically closer to consume than anything else for Loki, so eating for him.
Yeah, the way I understood it is that they were just passing it down. So I'm on the same route 3 Day is, and that the reason it was so bad is that Loki ate it. Yeah. And maybe that's what gave him the special bounty, like, because maybe once, just like with Nika, when they realized, because they from Marie Joie realized it had awakened. So maybe once that devil fruit was eaten, they're like, oh snap.
Yeah, because if it awakens, it's going to be just as bad as Nika.
Yeah, exactly. I like that.
It could also be that eating that fruit was like the first domino falling down. Like, for let's say centuries, no one has eaten the fruit, just passed down. Let's say that he eats it, and we know that you get some sort of knowledge, some kind of understanding, especially when you're compatible with that fruit. If Loki was compatible, there's also like a reason why they made sure that no one else would eat it. Like, unless you have the will of that fruit, you don't understand what they're aiming to do. But it could be like Johnny or Yosaku seeing in Arlong Park Nami stabbing Usopp, realizing she was actually protecting him and she was stabbing herself. But it seemed like it, not understanding the motives. That's the term I was gonna say. So yeah, like, that could be the first domino. And then whatever he was talking about after eating the fruit, when he became better and better with the fruit, scared people,
Yeah, and maybe he was even protecting Aizurden. I mean, they're brothers, from what we understand. And maybe he realized the fruit would have been maybe the fruit's something bad that like takes over the mind and warps the mind or something like that. We don't. There's so many angles it could go. What's that, 3D?
It was probably taboo, and that's
Yeah.
why it's a special.
Yeah.
And he saw his brother was gonna get it, and he was like, "I'm stopping that."
And we've seen many times elf producers having this weird sixth sense, the sixth sense instinct moment, like Whitebeard, Yamato, Luffy. Many times elf producers will act a certain way out of they don't know how they can explain it. They just have instinct, So
Yeah,
I could see something of Loki.
Blackbeard with the Yami calling out to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Loki, eat me. No, I'm just kidding.
So we also see next up is Roto getting smacked up by Gerd and Goldberg.
Funny.
It is. I love that. Usopp being like, "Geez, you overdid it, Zoro and Sanji." He's like, "We can't get in trouble. We didn't even touch him because they just cut down the tree." It's so good, man. Zoro standing there like in the foreground and Sanji in the background, both of them standing so proudly too. It's so good.
I mean, Usopp's defense, seeing a tree the way it was cut down, I would also like if I turn around and I just saw it, I would assume it's Zoro who did it.
Yeah.
The way it's cut as well, like it looks. Zoro's the usual suspect in this situation.
Listen, this is one of my favorite instances. The circumstances don't always happen like this, but when they do, I'm very happy. It's on One Piece Twitter, people will be like, "Oh, see, Zoro did this. It was a Zoro feat." And then the officials come out and proves that Zoro and Sanji are working together. It's like, yes, thank you. It's just a little bit of, dopamine to my head every time I see that.
But it's my and now we're
This is
getting
why you
to
don't
my
hype things
favorite.
up before the chapters officials drop. Go ahead, Cube. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of my favorite moments in this chapter is after they take Roto down, Zoro saying, "See, now the evidence of our attack is gone." This is so funny from Zoro. It cracks me up. Like that was the most, that was that's what they were more. He was more preoccupied, not this what's been happening to them since the last 5 chapters.
Yeah. That and Usopp just being like, "Good point." Like he's just like, "Yeah, fair." I also love that Sanji, or not Sanji, obviously Sanji freaks out about a giant baby, but Nami also like is infatuated with Gerd a little bit. Like she seems super happy to meet her, and then when they're riding on her, she's like all like happy and stuff like that. She's like, it shows like the little musical note, like she's like whistling while she's sitting on Gerd's chest. Should have been me. I love how all the Straw Hats, but Usopp and Luffy, this was an important moment in the chapter for me. They can't wait, and for the first time ever, instead of saying, "Oh, I can't go to that island, I can't go on that island disease," or anything like that, Usopp charges in with Luffy first. It's never Usopp who charges in with him, but in this one,
And Chopper.
yeah, and Chopper as well. Like, and getting to this, which Vex you had talked about briefly earlier, the giant spread of ELBAPH proper, seeing the town that Shanks was at, like in everything, like, it's,
Yeah, it's an incredible shot.
it is.
Yeah, you can see the village is built on ruins.
Yeah.
And yeah, the giants that seem like they're normal people, and shows just how big it is.
Yeah. I just love it. I
Yeah,
think it looks so
I was looking at them
fantastic.
birds.
Yeah,
Them
look at the
birds must be
birds.
gigantic. Yeah. Like, there's so much about like this little sequence as we like got the little storybook like square Oda boxes like from the narrator, but we find out like later it's not the narrator. But like I thought this was so like, I don't know, it was like cool. It gave me like this like fairy tale book kind of vibe, and like I loved this whole bit. It really like that. This was like honestly the perfect wind up to like ending the chapter, and I loved it.
yeah. I like that we got to see the little bit too up in the corner of Luffy and Zoro, or Luffy and Usopp right after Little Garden. You guys, someday I swear I'm going to ELBAPH, to the Village of Warriors, and Usopp crying, man.
Yeah.
That hit me so hard.
Oh yeah. And the mini flash, the one panel flashback.
Yeah, it's so well done. And then going into the next page with the crew's reaction as well, it's really well done. It's just so well done. I love seeing everybody so ecstatic. The smile on Robin's face. Jinbei looks worried though, like everyone else is mind blown. Jinbei terrified. I'm gonna be honest. This actually, I think that. Because Oda loves playing with these panels with, like, where he lines people up. I think the top row are going to be the crew that are most prominently featured in ELBAPH. Like, that's him, and most of them were on Wano, so they missed out for the whole Cake era. So it makes sense to me, but like I've said it before, and I kind of said it earlier, I really think that Robin and Chopper will be taking care of Saul, Frankie and Zoro will be with Vegapunk, Lilith, and like, then we'll obviously get some payoff too for the Bonnie stuff with Kuma. Like, I don't know. When I first saw this panel, the only thing I could think about is foreshadowing.
Honestly, with especially the moment Gert started to speak to them until the end, it kind of gives me a flashback of when they made Connie's in Skypiea. And the Straw Hat's reaction to all the clouds and the stuff. So I do feel like they might be like, we got so used to post-time skip of only having like maybe maximum 3 Straw Hats having an adventure or like in-depth more story into it. I think this could be a way of with how ELBAPH is, where he's just gonna play around with all the different ones, put them in different teams all the constantly. So we might even have like pre-time skip type of development for the Straw Hats,
Yeah,
where it might not just be 3, but maybe like almost half of them at least.
Yeah, well, if you look at the way that they're all paired up, I think that is something to do with it as well. Like, I could definitely see Jinbei and Nami kind of teaming up for some of the arc, because they're 2 Straw Hats we don't get to see interact very often, but we know have a very deep connection to each other, especially after Fishman Island. Things like that. Chopper and Robin, same thing. We see them interact a lot on the ship and stuff like that together, but throughout the arcs, you don't really see them have adventures together. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's trying to, like you said, he's trying to pair up different pairs that we're not used to seeing.
And if you think about it, he's maybe even telling like who is gonna mostly at least start focus on this arc when he's showing all the Straw Hats. But if you look at it, he didn't put Luffy and Usopp's. He put a separate one for Luffy and Usopp
because they're the
especially
two
when
main.
For the,
Yeah,
like he's even telling us like focus on them at least for the right now. But yeah, I could see like going back to pre-time skip. I do hope we're going back to pre-time skip where it's more than just Luffy and one or two Straw Hats where they're more featured in the arc. I really hope it's going to be back to pre-time skip, where it's like crazy adventures right and left.
Well, I want to see more from like, in Thriller Bark, I always say this. One of my favorite aspects of that arc is how much the Straw Hats help each other and they combo up and stuff. Like you see Chopper and Frankie building stairs up to oars, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Robin catching Frankie with wings, and Sanji and Zoro working together to hold back Kuma, and like stuff. There's a lot of like combo. I call them like combo attacks in that arc. And we haven't seen a lot of that since the time skip, and I really, really want to see that more. So I think ELBAPH could be the arc that every Straw Hat has something to do properly. Good stuff. Also,
how do you think he warns them not to stay too long?
Yeah, we are not.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. This is the spicy thing we've been waiting to talk about.
Oh, okay.
No. And I'm glad that you're the one that brought it up, 3-Day, because I was going to ask you. I've heard almost everyone here's take about it. I think you and Josh are the only two I haven't seen. Also, Nac has to jump out real quick. So, Nac.
Okay.
Have a good day, brother.
Yes, you guys have an excellent day. This chapter was fantastic. So happy to see the Straw Hats all back together. And the Louis Aeronaut stuff is going to be instrumental.
Yeah.
Stoked
he
to
heard-
see who that silhouette is finally, but Cube can tell you more about that. He's been talking about it for years now. Love you
You have a
guys.
good day, brother.
Have a great day.
Good night.
Much love.
I was
Mac.
just thinking that that the warning is because they're in a land. Part of it's made from imagination, and if they stay too long, it'll affect their mind.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Because they already mentioned going crazy looking at those stuff, the rainbows and stuff. So I wonder if it's already happening.
And then we also had the absinthe stuff at the very beginning of the arc, which also affected the mind.
In a manga
Yeah.
that I read, Chinese manga, it said they was going to the ancient wildlands, and to go in there before they went, they had to drink this wine that was made from the ancient wildlands in order to get used to before going there, because either they would lose their mind once they went. And I was wondering if that wasn't why they needed to drink pink sake too.
It also makes me think of the way he said "we are not," what he's saying there. Makes you think of the original story of Peter Pan, where basically in Neverland, the longer you stay there, lost boys become lost boys because the longer they stay there, the more they forget about their life before that, their parents.
Yes, that would fit
Mm.
perfectly.
It kind of makes you think of the same thing, you know. You can't, and I do believe that, not the Disney one, the original like story of Peter Pan, like one of the first ones, is that there is hints that Captain Hook is was a lost boy who actually left and saw the difference, realized the discrepancy, you know, like that's why he keeps fighting. Fun fact, but yeah.
What I'm
it's
worried
fun fact.
about is if it is some Lost Boys shit, like I'm actually kind of worried that that's like how Oda tries to justify Yasop being a deadbeat dad, you know, because I don't want a redemption for that bum. But like, yeah, no, I think that'd be really interesting outside of the Yasop factor.
It could be a way
And it
to kind of, I hate to say this, but it could be a way for Oda to quickly get through ELBAPH as well. If there's a time limit to how long they can stay there. Especially
And that might be why Big Mom went crazy there, and Mother Caramel or whatever. I don't know. It could play into that.
Well, see, and it could be too that, like, you know, we are all One Piece theorists. We might be thinking a little bit too much into it, but at the same time, that's just like Oda to make you think that, because one of the goals of the world government is to make people into giants. So maybe like the Lost Boys, once you've been there long enough, you forget your name and everything, but you also take on, in a long ring, long land type of situation, the properties of a giant. But so you become giant, but it doesn't matter because you've lost your humanity. You don't remember being a human. Could also explain why the giants are so forgetful.
Well, they're born into the environment so they could adapt to it, and plus they worship the sun god. That could be taken into account.
Ooh, yeah, true.
I don't really think it's like I don't think it's gigantification. I've heard the theories, but like we've seen like Strusen and Mother Caramel, who were on ELBAPH and were specifically not giants, and they never got turned into giants or anything like that. So I don't know if I believe in the gigantification, but another one that I did also hear is that, yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that on that one specifically, I don't really believe it. But there was one that I heard that was that like just time stops basically, like for you, and like it's gonna explain like why like they live a lot longer. It's like, what if time just moves a lot slower? And we get like kind of a parallel to that in Little Garden, in that it has like dinosaurs and like extinct like insects like the Kestia bug and stuff like that. Like, and Kube and I bring it up all the time, but like Little Garden was literally said to be an island that is supposed to be like frozen in time or stuck.
Yeah.
I like that.
So if it's just that the passage of time moves slower once you get once you're there for like long enough, I don't know.
I'm thinking
Also, it kind of makes
it could be.
Sorry, go.
Yeah, it could be the opposite. What if time moves faster there and somehow the giants are immune to that? Like, this is why all the wildlife is so evolved.
Could be anything. Like, it's just that's like the first two things that I've seen a lot of people start to spitball around the community after the chapter like scans came out, was like people are like, oh, maybe you turn into a giant, or maybe something goes wonky with time. And I think I don't know about the gigantification one, like I said, just because we have examples of people not turning into giants. But I think that the time one, that could be really interesting.
And it kind of makes me think of, we think of Louis Arnott. Well, he wrote the Bragman books, and we know they're supposed to be fantasy that never existed, and they're like not heroes that you have to look at as an example. But among the stories in the Bragman books is the Nolan story that we know is true. So I've also wondered, like, if those fables inside it is to prove to people those stories are actually true, and there's a reason for it. And think of the connection with the Nolan story. The Nolan story pushed the Straw Hat to find Shandora and to ring the bell, where Roger also left a message there. So it could also be like there was a purpose for the Bragman books, and he's giving hints in that book saying, don't stay too long in ELBAPH because you've got work to do, type of thing. Because we know that there's a cycle, and people have been trying to get the One Piece or whatever, or the Return of a Joy Boy. Like, what if he sees that there's in ELBAPH, you might get lost type of situation. Literally a lost boy. You would just stay there, and there's a reason why he wrote those books. Don't stay in this fable too long.
But it does say adventurers do not regret your lost time here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'll say this: when Roger gave his and a lot of people's dreams come from stories, and we know that the Bragman connect back to Nami, to Robin, and to Medusa in the story. And when Whitebeard heard Roger's dream, his honest response is, "That's a child's story," which I've always said. What if he was not being he was being literal? Like he said, he heard that in a fable. So like, it could be like there might be like a reason for the Bragman books, and he's just warning people, the adventurers. You're not gonna waste your time, but don't waste your time as well. Something
that I think is really crazy, and it's something I don't really think I've seen a lot of people talking about. I've been pretty busy this whole week, so I haven't kept too much of an ear to the ground on all of the theories, but I've seen a couple. But one thing that I haven't seen anyone bring up is that supposedly, allegedly, because of the ending panel of last chapter, some sort of tragedy befell Saul, and we're led to believe that he's been here for a while, but maybe he's traveled around and done some stuff. Like, I'm not a firm believer of him being the man marked by flames, but if for some reason he is, then he's been sailing around on a black ship around whirlpools and stuff, and maybe this is like the first time he's like actually planted his seeds here at ELBAPH and stuck around for a bit. But something bad happened to him, and maybe that's like aligned with like what this warning is about from Louis Arnott, is like, hey, if you're here for too long, like, do you just like, maybe you just get unlucky, or like, I don't know.
Well,
like,
he did say he wasn't like
really
those
weird.
people from ELBAPH though. Back when
he called them brutes
he was
or something like that.
like savages or
Exactly.
something.
So he is not somebody who's native to ELBAPH. He's from the South Blue,
Right.
so he would be subject to the same warning that Louis Arnott gave to other
Exactly.
explorers. So and the fact that tragedy did befall Saul, somehow we still don't know what's up with that. I thought we were going to get this chapter, and we're probably going to we're probably going to see that next chapter, and I'm not strong enough. I'm not ready, y'all. But I like, maybe that has something to do with it, as well as whatever's going on with Saul could be like something tied to whatever this warning is. So I don't know, maybe it's like your luck runs out, or like the tree like saps up like your imagination, like y'all were saying, or like, I don't know, it could be so many different things. But I think that it does tie in with, I would hate for there to be like somebody whose big master plan is to just trip Saul. Like, that's how you that's your 5D chess like master play. It's like, that's some like Yzma and Kronk levels of like, just absolute chicanery, and I absolutely need it to be something not like of just some like random trader who that's their biggest plan is to just trip a dude, like I don't like tie his shoelaces together and like that's all we get. I'd rather it be something of like the nature or the dynamic of this environment, you know what I mean?
Well, Loki being tied to the tree, it could actually absorb your vitality or something.
Yeah.
That's why it's so big or whatever.
Yep. And I mean, we saw in Baron Omatsuri as well, a plant that could keep people alive and things like that. So maybe it's a give and take kind of relationship. They get extended life because of giving their own life force in the end to the great tree of ELBAPH.
I'm just excited, especially with ELBAPH and they were talking about fables and reaction piece. I can't wait to. We've heard about Joy Boy and the stories of Nolan, but I would love for it, like we hear other names or like other stories that we've heard like in Legends become a bit more clearer, because we all know that it's more than just Joy Boy. We need to know about the other actors in this final war.
Yeah,
so this could be also quite interesting.
Just to harken back to the warning real quick, I really think that ELBAPH is not what it appears to be. There's something bigger going on here. Something that maybe even the Giant Warrior Pirates are not aware of. It's a lot of spice. But yeah, the fairy tale element to the whole arc, I think Kube, it's going to be prevalent. Like there's going to be a lot to that aspect of it.
Yeah. Like I said, it'll be so interesting because, like I said, it is quite weird that Kid seems to wanting to go to ELBAPH, and the person stopping him is someone who's literally. Shanks seems to like. We know this sussing off with Shanks, and literally he has all the same scars and lost limbs as Kid, and they're both red-haired pirates. Yeah. But if there's a story about, and he was the one prophesized to come to Wano. He was there in Roof Piece with Luffy, so it could be like we're finally getting all those different like stories or legends of what's yet to happen. We are getting all those different storylines will become one storyline, type of thing in this arc, and that would be cool,
Maybe Sanji will get some information on the All Blue, Robin some on the true history. Usopp achieves his dream, becoming the first Straw Hat. I just gotta spit on that for like 1 second. He thinks that because a lot of us agree that he's already a brave warrior at the sea, but I realized the other night, like, because I keep saying how beautiful it would be for him to be the first one to achieve his dream, but I thought about it, like, especially with what he was feeling in Water 7 and what he's felt numerous times throughout the story of being the least impressive Straw Hat, to be the first Straw Hat to achieve your dream would be just so vindicating for him, and such a move in the right direction, realistically. But yeah,
that's a good point. We can also, we might even get payoffs on the whole Germa story, because I said if you look at the sword, the Warrior of the Sea story, and some of the panels that were drawn for it, it's quite interesting, the people that are on there, and the way that it's same thing as Nolan, but so Judge is just messed up. He loves the bad press. You think it's great for him, but it's like just like Nolan's story, they're evil people.
Yeah.
So yeah,
exactly.
I forgot about that as well. Sword of the Warrior of the Sea can also be answered in this arc.
I think ELBAPH is going to be an arc of payoffs. Egghead was just a teaser, a little bit of foreplay before the actual big reveals take place. You know what I mean? We're in the final saga now. It's got to happen sooner or later. And I think with ELBAPH being the arc that it is and everything we've seen so far, my safe assumption is that we're going to be getting some major reveals here.
We might have to if ELBAPH is gonna be that crazy, we might have to change the name from this arc from ELBAPH to El Peak.
Yeah,
let's do that.
Exactly. El Peak. I think. All right. We've gone on for just over an hour now, and I'd really like to go around and get everybody's final thoughts on the chapter, and I want everyone to give me a ranking out of 10. I'm gonna start with Josh this time. Josh, final thoughts on the chapter? Ranking out of 10.
Yeah, I think it's a really solid chapter, like a 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And also, how did we not bring up the silhouette man?
Bring up what?
Nah, he's fine. The silhouette man. We don't gotta worry about him. He's chill.
Yeah, there's 100 theories out there. You know what I mean? Like, Well,
It's Panda
It's
Man.
Coppercabot, it's Cheeky,
Cheeky,
it's Louis
it's
Arnaud
Saul.
himself,
Yeah,
it's
it's Louis
Yorkie.
Arnaud.
Yeah, it's
Yorkie? It's Geen still.
I've heard it. Oh my god.
It's Panda Man.
Yeah, it's Panda Man.
Bruh.
But no, I do think that there's an oversaturation on theories on that right now. So I'm really excited to see it pay off sooner than later. Sorry about that. So, Josh, you said a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's a solid score, brother. vexyz, what are you thinking on the chapter? Final thoughts? Out of 10?
It wasn't quite what I was expecting, but I am pleasantly surprised in what we got. I think that for like, it's always fun seeing a new landscape, and like the new like rainbow, like sailing on a 7-colored sea is like such a cool line that we got from somebody. It just like the implications for what that could hold for the rest of the story is insane. And I am almost positive that next chapter we will be getting a Robin and Saul reunion. So I mean, this was a ridiculous amount of setup and hype. And so I think I'll give it like the highest I could give, like a setup / hype chapter, which would be around like an 8.5. So close to a 9, very close, but I can't give it like much higher than that because we didn't get like a ton of payoff. But seeing Usopp like in tears, like seeing the giant village was enough payoff for me to give it that extra 0.5. Typically I only give setup chapters or hype chapters around like an 8. So this is kind of top of the cream of the crop as far as the setup stuff goes.
So
a great
what
chapter to come back to.
What was your score?
8.5.
8.5? I'm
An
writing them all down.
8.5.
And Josh's was a 9. Let's go. Miss 3-Day, final thoughts? What'd you think of the chapter?
I think it's a 9.5. I don't think it's even a setup chapter at all. I think it's just beautiful, pure adventure, and it's magical. I think that's what it was meant to be. Just with Louis Arnett's and Bragman and the rainbows and just how happy they were. I just loved it.
That's amazing. Very well said, Miss 3-Day. Kube, what about you? Final thoughts and out of 10.
So final thoughts. I think it's for me. It's a great chapter. Great for what we're supposed to get for ELBAPH. We're learning a lot, which is cool. Like I said, I'm getting a lot of vibe of at the same time of Skypiea when we first were introduced to Skypiea. So it's like this, this love for this new world type of situation. So it's quite cool. And so and my grade would be 8.56.
An 8.56. 8 point Gummu.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's definitely 8. I needed a bit more, like we go deeper on the stuff for a 9 or a 10. But obviously, a 10 is like there's everything in it. Like it's like the Roger,
lore drops,
the
all
Odin
that.
Flash
Yeah,
everything. So there's just missing a bit of things. And no, it's like I said, it's interesting. And I won't lie, I do like the changes in this version with the Viz. Like just the 3 different places they changed from heaven to astral. Like I think is game changer. So I won't lie, I'm really liking also the fact that the Viz had some different for such a words, which was cool. Usually they're very close by. So yeah, an 8. It's at least an 8 for me. It's at least an 8, and giving it for Luffy, so 8.56.
Yeah, this will.
I also didn't mean it like that. I kind of meant, there's some setup for it, but calling it a setup chapter made me think it wasn't good. Most of them aren't, but I love this one.
Yeah, I also called it a setup chapter, and I always, every time I say that in like a recording or anything, I always have to like clarify that that doesn't mean it's bad. I'm not saying that at all. Like, you know what I mean? So I get it. For me, I definitely see this as a 9 out of 10. I'm right there with 3-Day, if I'm being honest. You said the thing closest to how I was feeling about the chapter. It felt like that sense of romance in the adventurous sense. Like it felt like a very romantic chapter. Very much we're in love with the concept of adventure and the adventure that's unfolding in front of us. And there was just enough breadcrumbs of lore or new mysteries being set up, and enough weighing on our mind already with like what Vex had said with Saul and him coming back soon and being injured and things like that, I think it was needed, especially after the 2-week break into the next 2-week break. It was something needed. I think if he came back on a really heavy hitting chapter, like we got all of Loki's like plans or what he was wanting Luffy to free him for, or anything like that, I don't think it would have hit as hard as if we hadn't gotten this chapter first. Because like you said, 3-Day, it's just beautiful. The way they react to things, how innocent they look, how happy all of them are to be in ELBAPH. Like vexyz said, Usopp crying, Zoro and Sanji working together, Chopper and Luffy and Usopp freaking out to see the crew riding on a rainbow. Like it reminds you of that pre-time skip, that really, really special feeling that Oda writes into One Piece that makes One Piece what it is. Yeah.
It's really cool too that in chapter 115 it was Adventure in Little Garden, and this one is called Adventure in ELBAPH, and they both had the quotes from Louis Arnett, and it was with giants. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, we spoke about that just a little bit before you popped in. I love when Oda does in like Adventure in the Land of Sky, or or this or that or that. It's such just a little. It lets you know that the arc is about to begin and the new adventure, the grand big adventure, is right here in front of you. But I am gonna end it here, guys. To the audience, I want to thank you all for listening today. This is a new format for us. If you're listening to this like a podcast while you're driving or anything, be safe. If you're sitting here in the audience and listening in live or whatever, if we premiere this, thank you for being here. But yeah, going forward, I think we're going to do our chapter discussions like this, just to avoid cross-streaming with anybody and the really unfortunate schedule of scanlations and things of that nature. But yes, I've been Straw Hat Lucas, captain of the Eternal Dawn. I appreciate every single one of my crew for being here with me today. I love you all. I'm so glad One Piece is back because it gives me a chance to spend more time with you guys. Kube, send us off, brother.
We'll see you all at the next sunrise.